Hello, YouTube. Let's start by listening to an ancient Roman I often give voice to in my videos as a reference, of course. He was very smart and he had this to say. The dolphin is an animal not only friendly to men, but a lover of music as well. He is charmed by melodious concerts and more especially by the notes of the water organ. He does not dread men as though a stranger to him, but comes to meet ships, leaps and bounds to and fro, vies with them in swiftness, and passes them even when in full sail. And this comes from the natural history by Pliny the Elder, or Gaius Plinius Secundus, who lived between the year 23 and 79 AD. And he was a Roman author, naturalist, natural philosopher, and naval and army commander of the early Roman Empire, and a friend of the Emperor Vespasian. He wrote the Encyclopedic Naturalis Historia, which became an editorial model for encyclopedias that we use today. He spent most of his spare time studying, writing, and investigating natural and geographic phenomena in the field. And I use him also for the paranormal research references, because he knew a lot. But let's look at some ways humans interact with dolphins exactly 2,000 years after Pliny's birth. I have already described how major world powers trained dolphins for combat, just as the Romans trained elephants for their warfare, and it was well described by Pliny. But are there other ways after 20 centuries after his birth? For at least 140 years, fishermen of Laguna, a city in southern Brazil, have been collaborating with dolphins to catch mullet in the sea. And it's very interesting that, by the way, that city in Brazil is called the national capital of dolphin fishermen. The intangible cultural heritage certified by the authorities attracts tourists from near and far abroad. Although it was obvious that the locals were benefiting from the presence of dolphins, people wondered if dolphins were benefiting from that relationship. Recently published study showed that this collaboration was definitely a two-way street. The dolphins were able to get more food, which gave them a survival advantage compared to groups consisting exclusively of dolphins. The local population, numbering up to 60 dolphins, uses echolocation to search for mullet shoals that people otherwise would not be able to detect in the opaque water. Then the cetaceans drive the school or shoal of fish to the fishermen, who usually stand in shallow water near the shore. Dolphins give a behavioral signal, for example, a sudden deep dive, so that fishermen know when to cast their nets. Casting a net benefits dolphins by breaking shoals of fast fish and making it easier for them to catch individual fish. Each of them brings a new skill that increases overall success, says the study lead author Mauricio Cantor, a behavior ecologist at Oregon State University. However, according to the findings published in the article, the famous interspecific fishing is under threat of extinction. Our data shows that this interaction is becoming less frequent over time, says Cantor. If things continue as they are, they may disappear in the next 50 to 60 years. The cooperation of fishermen and dolphins of Laguna is one of the few surviving examples of a 1,000-year tradition that existed all over the world. Fossils from Europe indicate that humans and wolves may have collaborated to hunt prey as early as 32,000 years ago. One of the first clear evidence of human-wildlife cooperation dates back to the 1st century AD, when Pliny the Elder mentioned fishermen fishing with dolphins in the south of modern France. Since then, cooperative animal-human interactions have been recorded in at least 16 species, mostly cetaceans, but also some birds in countries as diverse as Australia, Myanmar, Mauritania, and Japan. The history of human-dolphin interaction has been known since the first Sumerian Semitic mentions of these animals. The Sumerians identified the dolphin with the god of wisdom, the master of the world ocean, from which the first man emerged in the form of a dolphin. In Greek mythology, dolphins have always accompanied the gods who patronize men. Why do myths and legends of many people speak of the dolphins as a friendly, wise being with a unique mind and human qualities? The ancient Greeks were the first to try to answer this question, who repeatedly mentioned the physiological features of these animals in their treatises. Dolphins are very similar to us. They also breathe with their lungs, the same four-chamber heart, almost the same brain weight as us. Dolphins are also warm-blooded creatures, and even the size of adults varies similar to human growth from 1.5 to 2 meters. By the way, it was from the Greek word Delphos, meaning brother, that these mammals became known as dolphins. And the dolphins became brothers because they saved people more than once during storms and shipwrecks, pointed the way to the shore, and even warned of danger. I remember my early youth, so to say, in the Soviet Union, when I had a chance to visit certain areas of the Black Sea in Soviet Georgia, and I've seen what dolphins were doing and how they help people, and the legends that I was told, stories, are incredible. That was many years ago. Modern science studying dolphins continues to present more and more new facts about these incredible animals. Let me tell you just some that I have today, but I gotta tell you, we keep getting more and more interesting data as research of the dolphins goes on. In a pod of dolphins, everyone is related, and their mutual assistance is much better developed than human. Why? The thing is that dolphins never behave aggressively and indifferently towards their relatives. Together, they help the dolphin weakened in the pod to stay near the surface so that he does not drown. Bring him lunch, so to say. They sing songs to him. Dolphins, like humans, have 6 levels of sound organization. There is a sound, a syllable, a word, a phrase, a paragraph, a context. In addition, there are their own dialects. As with humans, the language is divided into body language and the language of sounds. Despite numerous studies by scientists, no one has been able to fully decipher the language of dolphins to date. But nevertheless, Soviet scientists have made tremendous progress in this direction, systematizing more than 180 different sounds and signs using the ZIPF method. It is worth noting that a great contribution to the study of this issue was made by a secret group of Special Forces divers based in the USSR under Balaclava. And you can find this in my channel, how the Soviet military was studying dolphins and what they were doing with them. If a border guard fulfills combat missions with a dog, then an underwater special forces had basically a dolphin as his faithful friend. Moreover, the divers themselves note that the dolphins sometimes offered such non-standard solutions to get out of an artificially simulated situation, that they turned out to be much more effective than any human calculations. But it would have been better, in my opinion, for dolphins not to become the object of military research, no matter the country conducting it. Moving in groups, dolphins, like humans, are guided by their guide. In unfamiliar terrain, these mammals move in a very tight formation, which allows them to instantly hold the defense in case of danger. They focus only on the sounds of the presenter and transmit information along the chain with the help of certain touches, so to say. Recently, American scientists, according to a BBC News Channel special, as a result of numerous experiments and studies, came to the conclusion that each dolphin in the pod has its own unique name. It is given to the dolphin at birth and its characteristic whistle, to which only one individual from the pod always responds. With the help of these whistles, his or her relatives turn to a particular dolphin. The body language of dolphins corresponds in almost everything to the rules of human verbal communication. Communication with dolphins has a positive effect on the human body, especially on the child's psyche. Since 1978, the development and application of dolphin therapy began. Its essence lies in the fact that the patient is simply allowed to spend time with the animal, communicate and contact. Modern medicine does not find an explanation for many diseases. It also cannot yet explain how dolphins manage to positively affect or impact many physical and mental diseases of a human being, especially autism. But the fact that dolphin therapy somehow increases immunity, helps the development of speech in children, heals from a number of autoimmune diseases, it's no longer denied. Dolphins, like humans, give each other gifts. This incredibly romantic fact was confirmed by ethologists studying dolphins in the Amazon Delta. Males, in order to attract attention and position the female, give gifts to potential partners. What kind of gift can this fish give? In order for the female to accept for consideration and candidate for the continuation of offspring, it is impossible to do without a bouquet of river algae. Dolphins easily and conflict-free communicate with terrestrial animals. The surprising thing here is that they also reciprocate them. Dolphins get the most positive emotions from communicating with dogs, and representatives of the feline family cause a lot of questions and suspicions. Dolphins, like humans, understand that life is movement. They love active games and play sports. What is it? It's very interesting to watch dolphins at such games. Dolphins recognize themselves in mirror image along with other objects. In nature, only two species of mammals have sex, not only for procreation, but also for pleasure. These are humans and dolphins. Man has learned a lot from the dolphin. Fishermen borrowed an echo sonar from a dolphin for targeted fishing, as I described, because dolphins never make mistakes when tracking the direction of movement of shoals or schools of fish. Scientists have developed acoustic glasses that can replace canes from blind people. Doctors have gained invaluable knowledge on the treatment of many diseases. And on submarines, instruments have been used to accurately estimate the distance to any object underwater. Who knows what else has been gained from interaction with dolphins and the military? We don't know. But as for other science, let me give you an example. On her deep sea dives, wildlife biologist Angela Ziltener of the University of Zurich often noticed that Indo-Pacific bottlenose dolphins doing something intriguing. The dolphins would line up to take turns brushing their bodies against corals or sea sponges, lining the seafloor. And more than a decade as an adopted member of the pod, a status that let Ziltoner get up close without disturbing the animals, she and her colleagues may have figured out why the animals behave this way. The dolphins may use corals and sea sponges as their own private pharmacies. The invertebrates make antibacterial compounds as well as others with antioxidant or hormonal properties that are probably released into the waters of the northern Red Sea when dolphins make contact. According to the report that Zoltaner and her colleagues made in the Science publication in 2022. So the rubbing could help dolphins maintain healthy skin. Ziltoner actually made a video showing members of the pod using corals as if they were a bath brush, swimming through to rub various parts of their bodies. Oftentimes, it's a peaceful social gathering. It's not like they are fighting each other for the turn, said Ziltoner. No, they wait and then they go through. Other times, an individual dolphin will arrive at that patch of coral on its own. But the dolphins will not buff their bodies just against any corals, according to the scientists. They're picky, primarily rubbing up against Gorgonian corals and leather corals, as well as a kind of sea sponge. Ziltoner and her scientific colleagues analyzed 1 centimeter slices taken from wild corals and sponges. The team identified 17 compounds overall, including 10 with antibacterial activity. It is possible that as the dolphins swim through the corals, the compounds help protect the animals from skin irritations or infections. There is much more that I want to tell you about the dolphins, and I will. Very interesting recent discoveries about their brains, their bodies, their skin. The more we learn, the more amazed we become. And hopefully our bond with the dolphins will not be broken. Although I think the dolphins are quite aware of the pollution that mankind has caused on the oceans and seas of this planet. So I will definitely continue with my dolphin videos, and I want to thank you for your attention to my research. If you can help me, you will find how to do it in the description to this video. Please tell others about my channel, and please like my videos.